I don't think he can scoot back.
All right, well, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Metropolitan School District North Posey December board meeting and ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mr. Kavanaugh, would you read the vision, mission, and core beliefs?
I sure will. The vision, we inspire all students to achieve their potential for learning and life in a safe and supportive environment. Our mission is we partner with our community to create a dynamic and innovative educational experience, empowering students to become educated, productive, and responsible citizens. For our core beliefs, we believe our community is vital to our educational success. Everyone is valued and treated with respect and always telling the truth. An educational opportunity for all. Student-centered programs challenging and inspiring learning in the pursuit of excellence through a strong sense of pride. Our high priorities are enhancing the student experience, investing in teachers and administrators, fostering strong relationships among all, and maximizing resources.
All right. Next item on the agenda is patron concerns. I will remind everybody that we have a policy and rules of decorum, and that our patron concerns should not be directed at anyone in an accusatory form of individual school employees by names or students' names either. And the first person on the list here is Mr. Cumbie.
Where you want me at?
Wherever.
All right. Well, you took my speech away because I was going to go after Mr. Kavanaugh.
So this is long.
I was reading the paper the other day, and I was noticing that we're going through looking at bonds and reissuing a bond. Are we looking for new bonds, or are we just?
I guess we're basically reissuing, and we will be discussing that tonight.
Okay. I guess what I want to know is I struggle with, I don't understand it. I read it, but I don't understand how it works. And what I'm asking is there any way that you can have a reserve plan for the bonds for future projects where you don't have to keep going back and forth with new bonds? Like I know the last time we got bonds for security and things of that nature. How does this work normally? I mean, is this for building projects coming up, or what is it?
It's for building projects.
Okay.
And we have a list of projects that we've reviewed and in the meetings.
Okay. The other thing that really caught my attention is the last meeting I was here, we were talking about solar panels. And what do they say? 25 years for a solar panel life expectancy.
Mm-hmm.
Will our schools be here in 25 more years? We're looking at 60-plus-year-old buildings, guys. This is long term. Will they be here? We're at 90-year-old buildings. And I guess my question is there any long-term committee that's looking at this to start now? You're all not going to be here when this happens. But I think we need to start planting the seed for this if we're looking to grow. With me being part of the Grow Poseyville, we're trying to bring housing in and, some other things to help our communities. And I know our schools are good. We have no problem with that. But I think our long-term planning, I don't know how this works or if it's something you've even talked about. I don't know. But as a citizen who went to school here and very happy, love being here, but what are we going to do in 20 years? Where are we going to be? And that's the question I'm bringing up. We're getting this bond. That's why I want to know, can we put money back to help with this? So it's not such a sting, because I sure don't want to consolidate. That's the furthest thing from my mind. And, and I hate your school closing down. I love little schools. I think they're awesome. And I call it your school because you were the basketball coach.
For a while, anyway.
Yeah, I played against you. So that's what I'm wanting to know is, do we have a long-term committee to look at this? Is there anything in the plans, or is this a first? The other thing with the solar panels, and you really opened my eyes with that, is I saw a company come in here and present this. Well, they're presenting their own product. Who's the outside engineering firm and how much was that project going to be? What was their, well, how much was it?
It had different values for
Ah,
the different
just
schools.
roundabout.
Yeah, we saw different.
Was it 3 million, something like that for all the
If you did
schools?
all the schools,
Yes, I think
it's
it's
Between 3 and
closer to
4
4.
million. pretty much.
Yeah.
As a school corp, were we looking at trying to bring in an individual who didn't have a dog in the fight to plan this for that kind of money? Do we have a PE that's coming in to show you your exact numbers? Because I talked to a few. Their numbers aren't adding up to what I got my information from on your payback. So that's, I think you might, this is just me suggesting, might want to look at bringing in a private firm who does not do this, that does not sell solar panels, and see exactly what your payback will be. The other thing is, 25 years is what I heard. Will the buildings be here in 25? So, that's basically all I have. I know it's a lot, but the bonds, I would like to know if we can put money back on the bonds. So we'll
So,
start putting a plan together.
and we will have some discussion later on in the meeting about the bonds and that tax rate and how we will plan for the future.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, our
So
tax
we'll
rate, go ahead, I'm sorry.
We'll have that discussion later. It hasn't been set yet, so
Okay, will our tax rates go up?
that's not the plan. But
Okay, well,
like I said, there's five of us here, so
I want you to
We will.
understand, I don't have a problem with where I am at,
mhm.
okay? I don't have those issues. And if we need to do more, I feel that it's worth it, as long as it's done right.
Charge it to Joey Company.
And we'll go to New Harmony and grab some of that. So, but I appreciate it. That was
Yep.
my questions. And I don't know how we can get back and get those answered,
Mhm.
but I would like to know.
Do we
Okay.
know if any of that can be banked, or does it have to go toward a specific?
We,
Yeah,
just
there's-
like it has to go to a specific project, but
It's a good question to
We-
ask.
Can you have a capital reserve plan?
we have kind of that with the issuance of a bond that's 6 years from now. So what, I guess we'll get into it real quick, but what we've tried to do, even in the last couple sets of bonds that we've issued, is try to set it so that we can have a bond roll off once every 5 years or so,
Okay,
so that we can maintain an equal tax rate for our debt services, that we can pull money, depending on what our assessed value is, we can pull that amount of money every 5 years, give or take, to do a new bond project.
is that an account then? Is that like money sitting in this little
No.
envelope over here?
No,
That's what I'm asking.
no, that's just a plan that the board in the past has set in place, and like I said, we'll talk about it later, what we're planning to do on this one. And go from there. I don't know.
Can we
How's-
find out? I'm saying,
What-
can we put money in the bank for something of a building project down the road? And it's for my grandkids. That's what I'm asking, not the bank, but just, is there something we can set up as a community?
We have a rainy day fund, but I think the mechanism that we're trying to use is basically setting up so that we do have $5 to $10 million every 5 years that we can pull out and do projects.
It's like we're doing projects now that are really, really necessary, but we could do so much more if we had, and we don't have that now. So what do we do? Do we put money away? I see your point. It's a very good point. I agree. And I agree with you too. It's probably not something I have to worry about very much, but some of these guys will probably still be around then, but
Well, we're just working for our community, and I think this is something that's gonna have to be looked at.
Mhm.
I know this school's fine. It was
Yep.
built in 70, but all the others were built in 50, they all took class in 58, 59.
I think that's something for the finance people
ask them, and if that is something that's possible, I don't know.
Because what we're doing, you're never gonna be able to build a new school building based on the way
No.
these bonds are set up.
I guess that's questions we asked them. I was just curious.
Mhm.
And I know you're in between superintendents, and I understand that. But I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a good point, thank you.
All right, next on the list is Cindy Meredith.
Hello, I work at North Elementary. I work in the cafeteria. Our concern here is why we're here tonight is that there's a company that runs our cafeterias, and we would like, I know their contract's coming up due again. And we would like to present to the board that we would like for our schools to run our cafeterias again like they did in the past. The company that's in there now, they're having to present to you that it makes sense to keep them in the cafeteria running our schools. But they are way over budget on their food costs. That is why they are cutting a lot of our food items off the menus and off the list and away from our kids. I've had 3 kids that go through North Elementary. My youngest one's in 5th grade. So that's why I'm here in front of you to let you guys know that we would like to get rid of the company running our cafeteria. And that's why the other ladies here, they're wanting to voice their concern too. I know you know who the company is. We're not supposed to mention names, but they're not here for the kids. They are here for the dollar. And the person that's with Airmark that we have to deal with, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. The company that's running our cafeterias, we hear a lot of comments about them, about how in January, they're gonna start cutting more items off the menu that the kids love. They've already cut items off our breakfast menu that when the kids come in to see us, it's not there no more. So we got kids that are turning away and go back to their classrooms and not even eat breakfast. So that's what we're here for, to voice our concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mrs. Corr.
Okay, I'm probably the only one here who, except maybe Cindy, who ever worked under our old cafeteria manager. And when she left, we were told that when she got audited the last time, they had over $500,000 that she had to do something with. So when the other company took over, you know, they had all this money. They were buying food that was unreal. I mean, they'd get 2 watermelons like that to a box and pay $11 for it. They would order things at the beginning. They would order things and they'd say, okay, we'll order for you. You just make it. Okay. At the time, we had another company or another government thing that we would take care of. And they went out to St. Francis School up there. That was 20 meals right there. They give us enough food for 60 people. And we had 300 kids eating. I guess my concern now is, where is all the money? We've been after a new washing machine forever. Our janitor has said, you need a new one. The main maintenance from high school says, you need a new one. Every time we bring it up, they act like it's the first time they've ever heard it. And this has been a year that we've been needing one. Our dryer is now rattling and making noise. They finally got around to fixing our dishwasher after going through paper products for almost a week because, you know, they were wasting too much money. We want to know, where has all the money gone if they don't have the money to fix it? I mean, they think that we are a business. Yes, we are not a restaurant. We are a school. In my opinion, it should be dealt with differently than what you would a restaurant and a school. But they keep saying it's a cafe. Okay, we have been, since COVID, been getting our spoons and forks wrapped in plastic. Okay, they decided that they're going to get us a new dispenser. And I don't know what they paid for them, but they are heavy as all get out, and they dispense 1 fork at a time or 1 spoon at a time. There's 3 different slots. And then we have the forks and spoons that go with it. I don't know what they're paying, but it's got to be more expensive than what we were doing with just the plastic forks wrapped. I mean, and to me, not as sanitary. So, you know, it's just dumb things like that. Why are you spending money on that when what we have is fine? Well, I think it comes down to them. It doesn't look good because it's in a pan, all just scattered out there. And yes, the kids dump them on the floor, but that's the good thing about them being in plastic. You pick them up, you put them in. Because we used to have it, or we actually still have a dispenser that the kids would have to punch a button and they go punch, 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 punch. Then during COVID, I'd have to throw them all away because there's no aid or anything there to tell them to stop. We used to, but we don't anymore. And so then they would have to go in the trash because I feel bad during COVID about putting them back in. Because before COVID, I would just put them back in because to me it was just a waste. So then so now we got that dispenser not being used. And then we still even have forks and spoons for that yet. And it's just, to me, it's a waste. And I just want to know, do we have the money? If we have the money, why aren't our issues being fixed?
Do they have a representative in the cafeteria with you when you're working
No.
daily? No, they just come in and bring you the stuff and say, fix it.
Our director, her office is at the high school.
Okay.
And the other company that's running our cafeterias, she's at the high school. We might see them like maybe once every 2 weeks. Sometimes not even that. They normally come in after we leave because they don't want to hear our concerns of what's going on in the cafeteria. And one thing I forgot to address, we get boxes every month from the company running our cafeteria. It's promotional material for that company that they make us hang up if it's like a certain like Apple Day or Waffle Day or whatever it is. We found out from the company's rep, because she let it slip to me, that the school corporation is paying for all this. The promotional material for this company running our cafeterias, school corporation is paying for it. And it's probably about $200 a month per school. And if they can spend that much money on promotional material for this other company, then why don't they quit paying for it and address the issues and take care of the people and the stuff we have to use to feed all these kids? We can feed like 300 kids a day for lunch in the cafeteria. We can feed 130, 140 kids just at North Elementary for breakfast.
Or we used to until they quit coming down.
The kids,
Because
there's a lot of kids do not come down for breakfast anymore. They turn away because what we used to serve, we've served it for the 4 years I've been here. And when that company came in, they said, well, it costs too much money, so we're not going to let you guys serve it anymore.
What did they eliminate?
Everything. I'm at the high school,
The
so if you
2-ounce
wanna
chocolate
start on
muffins,
that,
and
we'll go.
And I know there's some people in here that have kids that go to North Elementary.
I mean, the
So-
breakfasts weren't,
so do I.
they weren't a Shoney's smorgasbord or anything.
But they love the
beforehand.
muffins. They got rid of their muffins.
I've heard that.
And I even told them, I said, well, if they went up, I said, why can't the kids just get one? And then choose something else on the a la carte, on the grab and go. No, they won't let them. That company's made the
Not my
decision.
turn
They
yet.
do not want us serving them because of the cost of them. Well, look at all this other money that they're wasting on all this promotional material, $200 a month.
And it's in the box.
Add up what that costs per school a year.
And,
What the school corporation, that's our concern. We're paying for it,
and when
for
they,
this other company.
when we order
So,
food,
I mean.
they have one vendor they use.
Yeah.
So we have to get everything from their vendor and they are super expensive. I know we had, at one point, we had someone in our cafeteria that actually had ran a restaurant and bar. She said, when they were looking around for vendors, she said that was the most expensive vendor that they could go to.
And back before we went with this company to run our cafeterias, the person who ran our cafeterias before she retired never used that company because she said their prices were so expensive, so much more than what these other companies that we use. We used to have, 4 vendors?
3.
That were 3 vendors.
Well,
that delivered our
plus
food.
the milk and the bread and.
And
Well,
so, yeah,
now
we
if it's
have
not on
5.
commodity, I'm not allowed to use it. And commodity is free.
that the commodities is what we get from the state for free. And that's what they're trying to push for us to use as
With you.
opposed to us buying food.
Good product.
Yeah.
Because I'm on the salad. I'm in charge of salads and subs, and my salad's absolutely awful.
And in January, there's kids that love our sub sandwiches. Well, they done told us that we have to take the turkey meat off the sub sandwich, no longer use turkey, just ham and cheese, due for the fact that they have to pay for that turkey and it's a higher quality of food.
Mhm.
So the kids that eat, yeah,
We're not getting
this
our
is what,
turkey.
this is what we have to deal with every day.
We're no longer allowed to order orange juice.
I mean,
Oh, yeah, we can't have orange juice.
We can have any other juice, but not the orange juice because it costs more.
so
We can't have any fresh chopped vegetables, but carrots at the high school. Only carrots. Only carrots. We can't have potato salad anymore. We can only have carrots. She's taking all of everything that I put in a Viking pack which is like a pretzel pack. Pretzels, I think she's gonna let me keep, but everything else has to be commodity, so it has to be free. Free.
And these are
My
our-
lettuce is horrible, and I told her, I said, my lettuce is bad. And she said, well, it's free. And I said, well, free isn't always good.
And she'll just tell us to like pick through it. and
Pick
it out.
through it. I can pick through it,
And-
and it's bad.
And that takes hours.
Well, it's just the point, I mean, if I
Doesn't
wouldn't
matter.
eat it or eat it at home or serve it to my kids, why would I want these kids coming in here paying for it to eat it?
I mean, the
I mean,
prices keep going up,
That's what
On
they
each
keep
tray.
telling us to do.
so.
And
But then all the carts, like the
Yeah.
extras, the chips and the Propels and we can charge a dollar for a Capri Sun, $1 for a Rice Krispie treat, $1 for a bag of chips, almost $3 for a Propel. It's ridiculous.
I'm well aware of those.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I see
Well,
those all the
and
time.
we were told by our principal that they're wanting to sell that kind of à la carte now at the elementary school.
they're wanting to put like chips, cookies,
We
gummy
have all
bears as an à la carte at the elementary school. So you're gonna have these kids coming in here that don't have money to buy it, that may be free and reduced or don't have no extra money on their account. Going to come through here, grab it, when they get up to Mary to check out, well, you can't have it because you don't have money on your account.
Yeah, welcome to mine.
And these kids are not gonna eat their food that they're getting, like the hot entrees, à la carte, their sandwiches, because they want that junk food. They're gonna want the chips, they're gonna want the cookies, they're gonna want the gummies.
Well, they don't have good choices.
Our
to pick
opinion
from
is
either.
that we don't need the à la carte over here at the elementary schools because the kids need to eat what we're serving that's better for them as opposed to just eating junk food all day long. That's our concern.
So the bottom line is, choose wisely when you
When the contract comes up.
contract, please.
Do we have any current employees who have the qualification to run it like we did before?
Quite honestly, I would say no.
I mean,
I know when.
You want to do it?
When our last, before they hired Armar, they had somebody who had just graduated, in the dietitian, and she had applied, because I know my daughter had worked with her, in Vanderbilt County, and she was all excited about possibly getting this job, and then they went with the company. I mean, if they had hired her then, we wouldn't be in this
And the
situation.
You know,
person we
are
have
there-
now is a dietitian, but she just happens to work with this company. But I don't
Are
know.
there a lot of dietitians out there, if you wanted to hire one, or?
I
Well,
have
the
no
lady
idea.
we have now is, but she just happens to work with that company. I don't know.
Well, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, when the contract comes up, I don't see, I could see us leaving our representative between you guys or between we have one representative between, the company and the school. In my opinion, she could probably do it as long as we use pretty much the same menu plan until you guys could get somebody hired. I mean, because we keep the menus month after month, and we could just, I guess, get rid of some of the stuff, in
Did
my
you make
opinion,
more
we don't
from
need.
scratch?
Huh?
4 or 5 years ago, did you make more from scratch? Or,
Not really.
Okay.
Matter of fact, it's gone to where we're making less and less from scratch anymore. It just, when they first started and came over, yes, we made a lot from scratch. I mean, we chopped a lot of vegetables and stuff, and, but no, they don't, and they have things on there, like, I was shocked, they had a steamed squash with mushrooms in it. Why would you serve steamed squash with mushrooms to elementary kids? First of all, my opinion is, the mushrooms, how many people are allergic? That's my concern. Just things like that.
And they give us pizza crunchers for high school. They should be giving you that.
We do
We
get
do
them,
do
and to me, they're not
They don't like
appetizing at all. They look like,
Mozzarella cheese sticks.
to me, they always look like fish sticks on the outside. And to me, they're not appetizing
It's
looking,
just-
but
And one other concern I have is with the company, since I'm like the kitchen manager over at North Elementary, I mean, I'll get text messages from her all the time from the company. And she will want me to go out, say if it's like National Apple Day or something. She will want me to take my cell phone, go out into the cafeteria, take random pictures of students, send her back the pictures so they can post the pictures of the kids eating apples on that company's website. I done that one time because it was with my son and one of his friends. And after that, I refuse. I will not do that because after I sent her the pictures, I'm thinking, well, I'm gonna get in trouble for taking pictures of random kids out eating lunch in the cafeteria. And I get that every month. Her just constantly texting me, wanting me to take pictures of kids or what we're serving, so she can put it on their website, not the school corporation's website, but that company's website, so they can promote what we're doing.
And this is her own personal phone. They didn't give her a phone to do it with. She said they're asking her to do it on her own personal phone.
Are you guys at different schools, or you all?
I'm at a different
Yeah,
school.
we're all-
I'm the one that has the courage to be here from the high
We're at North
school.
Elementary.
I hope they're watching.
And
No, I'm joking.
we just want, we
I'm a
just want you guys
representative.
to know what's going on. And what bugs me the most is that promotional material that our schools are paying for. It has nothing to do with us. It's their company that they're promoting, we're paying for it. So just so you guys are aware of it.
Okay,
We're paying
and
for that.
Every school's getting that information that they're
Wednesday
paying for.
is National Hot Chocolate Day. We are having to serve hot chocolate to these kids. And when I first brought it up, when I realized we were serving hot chocolate, I contacted them and said, do you realize that we have most of our kids at breakfast carry foam trays down the hallway to their classrooms? I said, first of all, we're going to have all kinds of mad because it's going to be dropped on carpeted floor. It's going to be dropped in the hallway where the janitor's going to have to be cleaning it up. And I said, what about them spilling it on themselves? Hot chocolate. Well, they have browbeat the principal to the point where now they are doing it, but all the kids that day have to eat in the cafeteria. And one of the ladies from the management over at the high school is going to go to South Terrace, and one of them is going to go to North Elementary. And when I said something to the nurse, she goes, oh my gosh, what is the temperature of that going to be? And I said, I have no idea. She's all worried about the kids getting burnt too. It's like they don't use common sense. Just because it's National Hot Chocolate Day or Cocoa Day or whatever, you don't have to do it. Use common sense. These are little kids.
They get the hot chocolate because the PTO does provide that and has it in a safe manner that they do that. This was just something they threw together and expected us to do.
Well, we appreciate the comments. We'll
Thank
get
you.
with Stacy and Airmark and the administrators at the buildings and come up with a plan. And
yeah, and I can just speak a little bit to the RFP process. So we will be putting a committee together, and that will include a kind of a broad spectrum of individuals for that committee that will then develop our language that we want in that RFP, request for proposal. Sorry, I don't want to use the acronym. And so then we will put together what it is that we'd like to make sure we have in our program before that goes out to bid. And so then in that request for proposals, we would describe exactly what it is that we want to ensure we have in our programs.
Is it rebid every year?
You can rebid it every year. We have had a contract for a certain number of years with our current provider and have chosen to not go to bid every year, but you can take it to bid every year.
It's been 4 or 5 years now. I think it was this last.
They've been here since we haven't bid this since I've
At
been
least 4
here,
if not
so.
5-year contract.
Oh, I also want to say that we have LTO called limited time offers once a month that they require us to have, this company that we offer the children in the high school. But they spend a lot of money on that one meal called a limited time offer. And if they like it, great. If they don't, doesn't matter because we'll never have it again. So what's the point of even spending all that money on that? And they'll say, oh, don't ask them if they like it because it doesn't matter. Oh, I don't understand that. Never have, never will. And when they bring you all this food that looks beautiful, that is not what we're serving. Just keep that in your thinking cap. That's not what-
You happen to know what the timeline is on the,
No, off the top of my head.
We're
Unfortunately,
not allowed to bid before January, but I think it's,
I just want to make sure it doesn't sneak up on us all of a sudden.
I want to say it's over the summer, but I'm not positive.
We'll get some of that info pulled together.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
You can stick around or head out, either way.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, minute, claim docket, and consent items. Looking for a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes, claim dockets, and the consent items.
In a second.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Colley, seconded by Mr. Oakley to approve the minutes, claim docket, and consent items. Any discussion?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Amy. Like to, let's see, Mrs. Budo would like to recommend Gail Ackar at a long-term subposition for Mrs. Reuter at North Elementary. Estimated effective date of January 3rd of 2023 to May 22nd of 2024. Gail is currently an aide in our self-contained special education room. I'm confident in her abilities to fill the role. Interviewed 8 candidates. The majority of them did not have the required degree to fill this position. This is a critical role that needs to be filled, and we find the best candidate possible. So this position will remain posted. We would also hire a long-term to fill in Gail Ackar's current aide position.
Is that all?
There is one more.
Okay.
Let me just add on that, the letter, we had spoke to, like, at the end of the day, that the compensation would, her rate, her current rate as an aide would not change, but we would be paying a $50 stipend per day with the hopes that we don't want to change contracts a million times, with the hope that maybe we have an interview at some point throughout the semester and get.
And what position is she taking?
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
sorry, I missed that at the beginning.
The classroom teacher for the life skills room at North Elementary.
And that's typical. We have done in the past a stipend for a long-term sub.
We have a long-term sub rate that would actually cause her to get a pay decrease if we paid that rate. And that we didn't feel like that was appropriate because we're adding duties, we're adding more. And so we used in the contract, we have a $25 an hour additional duty sort of pay rate. And we estimated at about 2 hours extra a day for this work that we're asking. So we're saying $50 a day. We did look at the daily rate and compared it to our lowest paid teacher, and there's still quite a gap between the two. So I felt
But
like it was an
she's
appropriate
not
rate.
licensed to do this position,
No,
but
it's
she's
a
doing it as a
substitute.
long-term sub. I didn't think Gail doesn't have a teaching
Correct,
license.
correct,
But she is familiar with the students.
She's been in the schools
Yeah.
for
Oh, yeah.
quite a while.
correct. The hope is to get a licensed teacher in there as soon as possible.
The second add-on?
Yep.
Okay, second add-on is Mr. Cox. The wrestling coach would like to recommend Chan Hain for the position of junior high wrestling coach and Tyler Stock as his assistant for the junior high wrestling team. And that is
Okay.
all the add-ons. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I had asked this, Mrs. Walden had already answered it, but I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I inquired about the Central Indiana Educational Service Center fee of $2,080. If you want to explain that again.
Yeah. That is the tuition that we pay for any students that's taking an Indiana online course. We have what's called an ICAP grant right now with the state that is a reimbursement grant, so we'll see that money come back. But currently we have students taking courses like business, some American Sign Language. I don't think we put any Spanish on there. I don't think we have any health this year on it. I have a list, but it was a little higher this year than in past because the business level 3 courses that we wanted to make sure they continued to have what they needed and put them on the Indiana Online. So that's what that tuition is for.
That's on here?
It was in the
It was in the
claims.
claims.
Oh, okay, on the claim, okay, all right.
Yeah, and I saw a new name in there too as well, consort. It was the health.
Consortium.
Yes, okay. I had not seen that
Consortium.
so many times in the claim docket for some reason before, but I didn't. All right, any other discussion?
I'll just add that I inquired about the S-Croft thing being 30% increase, but I guess that's like every other bill we have, right?
And they're
Well,
still the
it just-
cheapest.
Yeah, there's 2 claims that we had with the roof and then the
Yeah.
field house.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if
appreciate you
that
getting back
played a
to me. I
factor.
just
I'm
thought
sure it does.
30%, wow.
It's a lot.
The
Yeah.
consortium shared that the average increase was around 16%, but ours was much higher because of the big claims that we had.
What was the claim for the roof? Did we have hail damage or? Okay.
Mhm.
There's a junior high school complex.
So we get it replaced, then we end up paying for it. Great.
You're gonna pay for it.
One way or another.
I tell you what, though, they done good work. I've never
Yeah.
seen a crew work the way they did, as hard as they did, and from sun up to sundown, I believe.
I'll agree with you, but then one day we talked about it, the next day I went by and they were sitting out there looking at their phones. And because we just said, they never stop.
We had some staff members pick up some nails for them too.
We had a crew put on our roof that were the same
Okay.
nationality and whatever, and they worked there. They worked and worked and worked. One guy he couldn't have weighed 120 pounds dripping wet. He's taking 2 roof things on his shoulders and walking up the ladder, taking them up to the roof. And then when it came for lunchtime, they got their microwave out and they plugged it into our outside receptacle.
Uh-huh.
And they had tacos for lunch right there. And we had Spanish music all over the neighborhood that day.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Colley, second by Mr. Oakley, to approve the minutes consent items and claim docket. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 4-0. Mr. Kavanaugh.
Under new business, from the patron concern from last month, Mrs. Budo has reached out to the patron and discussed with her the concern that was brought to the board last month. Additionally, I believe it is important to share to the public that each school has a response to intervention team, or what we call an RTI team, that looks at the academic success as well as the discipline of individual students in each school. These teams support students with appropriate interventions and regular progress monitoring to support each student uniquely to grade appropriate behavior and/or academic achievement standards. The board and administration are dedicated to making sure our schools are a safe place where learning comes first, free of distractions. And strong discipline is a must in each of the 4 schools in the corporation. Then disruptions to that learning process will continue to be addressed with urgency, high expectations, and a strong network of support.
A couple comments on
Sure.
that. Well, just to the casual observer, which I'm sure there are plenty to our board meetings, you would assume that we don't talk about this stuff. And there's been quite a bit of talk amongst the board and with the administration on it. And I think we have some really good handbooks. Those rules have been in place before any of us sat around this table, and they haven't really changed over the years. And in researching it, I thought it was interesting. I learned a lot in that much of this comes straight from the Indiana Code, and it's word for word on there. And I'm down on Indiana code on a number of things related to
Mhm.
public schools especially, but some of this I kind of want to read out there because I think this is really quality stuff. Indiana Code 20-33-8-8. In all matters relating to the discipline and conduct of students, school corporation personnel have the right to take any action necessary to promote student conduct that conforms with an orderly and effective educational system. Students must follow responsible directions of school personnel in all educational settings and refrain from disruptive behavior that interferes with the educational environment. Teachers and school staff members may take any action that is reasonably necessary to carry out or prevent an interference with an educational function that the individual supervises, and may remove a student from an educational function supervised by the individual, and the principal may not return that student to the class from which the student was removed until the principal has met with the student's teacher, and the student's parents to determine an appropriate behavior plan for the student. So I do want to thank you for addressing this, and I think this board will, we will support our administrators, our teachers, and our staff for a strict enforcement of our rules to provide a safe and effective school environment for all of our students. So thanks for staying on top of this.
I think there were a lot of stories out there and stuff that I don't know if anybody was really sure everything that was going on. After talking with you, I spoke with Mrs. Buto a little bit today, and it seems to be very organized with a plan and everything like that, which I wasn't seeing that when we were just talking about it hit and miss. I think to me, I think it's on the way to being completely, well, I won't say completely, but it's
Things
going the
have
right
gotten
way.
better.
It's
Well-
going the right way.
And the problem with discipline, it's always going to be a little messy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I think you led to a good point. We have a structure that we need to follow. And I think we're doing that. But, and then there's always days we need to reevaluate and look at and do better. But at the same time, I feel like, that on this day, this happens, it's going to look bad. On this day, everything goes great. So there's just things that, I guess what I'm saying is it's something to observe and stay on top of. But at times that we absolutely should reevaluate and make sure we're doing what we need to do for our kids.
And you never know what's going on in a kid's life away from school. You
Absolutely.
never know. And to me, the biggest key here is that you don't penalize the majority of the kids because one kid or two kids are causing problems. That we need to figure out a way that we can serve them all.
Try not to let a couple disruptions affect the rest of everything else.
It broke my heart when I heard a parent say last summer that my kid doesn't like school anymore. And that's a first grader, it's.
I don't think that needs there's just more of a comment
No.
as far as that goes.
No
Yeah,
action.
thank you.
The discussion for the board regarding setting the borrowing rate for 2024 bonds, I don't know how to say that past that, but have at it, guys.
I'll say that after I saw the email where we are in the tax rate compared to surrounding schools, I felt like we were higher than what I thought we would be. I thought we were middle low,
We're middle high.
but we were more
Yeah.
middle high.
Yeah.
So if we can make it go down a little bit, that's kind of where I'm at, just because like Mr. Cumby said, everybody's struggling a little bit, and I liked how Vince had the idea to give a new superintendent coming in some room to, hey, let's get a new bond when he gets here and have ideas. I say he, I have no idea. That's a generic term, okay? So I'm kind of, like, I'd like to see the tax rate lowered a little bit, but I understand I'm probably in the minority.
Maybe not. So are we looking at this with where we want to set our rate, which I know is what Stiefel
Yeah.
suggested?
Well, you can never exactly
It's not
set
gonna
it,
be exact science
but
for sure.
yes, they will try to go off of our guidance and what we recommend to say if we're going to maintain this rate or that, then they'll determine
How much we.
the best they can, how much we can borrow at knowing that. But it's not an exact science, of course, because
And if we would set it, we
Things
just set
change.
it for 1 year, don't we? Or am I
No.
wrong with that? No?
no. I mean, they can change this stuff and set it in different ways, but if we do that, then we'll be issuing bonds every year, and that will cost us more money and make it less efficient in the overall process.
My
So-
concern is I see so many things that we really need to have done. I hadn't even thought about what Mr. Cumby said there. You know, he's right. And in 30 years, that school building's gonna be, shoot, it started in 1960, I think. So 30 years, we're talking 90, it's gonna be 90 years old. Yeah.
Right.
And that's, I just, in order to do something, then you'd have to have a referendum. or something.
Yeah, because I don't know any other method to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume we're not gonna collect tax dollars and just put them in a rainy day
I
fund.
don't think you can.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Right.
How do
So-
other schools do that? Do they all just do a referendum?
The two I've known of have done a referendum, but
Mhm.
I don't know that all.
I mean, I don't
You
know.
could also plan somewhere out in the future that this bond, when it rolls off, will be for that purpose, to replace a building but
It's not gonna be
There's-
big enough to
right.
do that, so.
Yeah, you'd have to make too many sacrifices, I think, to be able to do something like that. So, I mean, the only feasible method to do that, in my mind, is a referendum at that time.
With what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like part of the idea, if we're looking at the CTE wing right now, we're going to completely, hopefully, gut that and remodel that section. And we'd also talked about taking that, the section on the junior high that is now the custodial area to possibly add to it. But if we completely gut and remodel that, it's going to kind of answer that question if we would piece it that way, where we're using this referendum, I'm sorry, let's back up on that. We're using this bond to redo this area, to bring new life to an area of that building. We'll have to do that with another area, with another bond, with the cafeteria, exactly.
Yeah.
So in a roundabout way, we are answering that on a smaller scale, piece by piece, which is the only way these bonds will actually work to replace a school.
Yes.
And again, just one other thought, I know we've said it before, but you can set an amount higher now and scale back to a lesser amount. But if you ask for that lesser amount now, you cannot ask for a higher amount down the road. So we can go down, but we can't go up.
As far as once they start selling the bonds
This particular project.
On this particular one, yes, you're right.
And we can do a
for
fairly
that project.
higher amount, but it's just over a longer period of time before we'd have other money available. Is that right? I mean, we could
Yeah,
we
they
could go
could,
up to 10 million
Yeah.
or so and not raise the tax rate very much, but we aren't leaving money for
We
3,
could
4,
go
5 years.
About
to, we
five,
could go
6
to
years, I
10
think.
and we would have in 2030 more money available.
Which is about 6 years out.
When do we have money available if we go 7 or 7.5 or whatever that was?
I thought that was more like 5 or 6 years, is what I remember the
Yeah, I
discussion being.
thought it was too. but I don't-
There's a 9 and a 5 here in this, but if you change your tax rate, so like in this one, he shows 5 million to hit the 85-cent total tax rate, but there's no new money, because you stay at that 85-cent tax rate, there's no new money.
And is that is that where we're at now?
No, we're at, what's our tax rate right now?
96.
96.
Oh, so that's lowering it quite a bit.
Mhm.
I don't have that.
This one was going to a 90-cent,
This one?
and you could get 9.7 million, but it was
for what, 20 years.
Am I wrong to
You
raise
could-
it would be
Yeah, but then we have another
So
bond
then the rest of it,
retiring.
could you
use
add
money
to
for
it
that then later on,
without
right?
a referendum?
Not until here,
Yeah, we
not
said
until
Twenty-
It's not
2038.
real popular.
Oh,
Without a
really?
referendum.
Without a referendum, as long as we stay within
Less
control.
than 10 million?
Control project.
Okay.
10
That
million.
far, okay, that's where that page is confusing, okay.
It is confusing. That's why you need
But
him
it made
standing over our
sense. I know,
shoulder to
when he was
explain it as we
standing
go.
right
Uh-huh.
I don't know, where I'm at right now is very similar. I'm looking at the projects, considering the ones that I think we need to do right now. And I'm seeing close to $10 million almost in those projects. And I'm leaning towards the page here where we can borrow 10 million this bond cycle, 12.6 in 2030. Or that's a estimate, of course, but
And I'm nowhere near that.
Okay,
What I'm looking at is.
say that
okay,
again, which
Yeah.
one is it?
I handed you the page that he was
This
on.
is
Yeah.
what I get,
Page
okay.
My thought is that if you let this rate drop back a little bit, potentially, or you look at about $7 million, then in 5 years, you have a pretty good option of taking out another bond, which is what we said we'd like to do, is to have these more often and keeping that tax rate more level. And it gives your new superintendent some influence on what we're doing,
But
without as much impact to that tax rate.
Okay, if we change the tax rate, and I'm a total novice of this, I never pay attention, and I just get the bill, write the check, send it in.
Complain.
Yeah. Maybe complain. If we set that rate at 90, which is lowering it, and we decide, hey, we need to do more, in 2030, can we raise that to $1?
we can.
But then
The thought process is, at that time, it's a lot harder to go back and raise the tax rate.
I still don't
At
think
that
it
time.
is if you explain to folks why you need to do it. It's harder on the folks sitting at this table for sure, but I think you have to have that trust in your constituents to be able to explain to them why it's necessary.
I would argue that it's necessary to maintain that right now so that we can maintain our schools to keep it at that level.
I just feel that we really need to do several projects. The CTE, the South Terrace, and the science rooms, and I'm not sure what did that amount to. I mean, I know we've talked about that, but that's getting up close to 10 million if we do any solar with it at all.
Can I throw one more slight wrench into that? Because we've talked about the CTE a lot, and we have a banked price of what we said it was going to be. We may be expanding that area, which means a higher cost for CTE
Yeah.
alone. So either we need to scale back the number of projects or increase the amount. Well, either or, I'm just reminding everybody that CTE cost is going to be higher than what that's at if we use that area.
One of my concerns also is I don't want to redo this all and still be 10 years behind everybody else when we redo it. I want,
And that's kind of where I'm at, because when we reviewed the Warwick County and the Pike County CTE wings, they were, from the $2.2 million, there's no way we can even compete with either one of those school corporations. They're spending 16 to 20 million
we aren't
dollars.
near as big, but we couldn't do it at our level, at our size.
They're spending 16 to 20 million dollars on these
Just
facilities.
on that.
I do think whatever project we do, we need to make sure we do it right rather
Mhm.
than spread this
Right.
out so far, because we've had some experience with that in the
Yes.
past where we spread
And we're
things
still,
pretty thin.
we still get complaints on
Yes.
all of that stuff.
But
Yes.
that's what I really think. If you hit about that 90 cent though, it puts us right back in the middle where we've traditionally been with our surrounding districts as far as the tax rate goes. And you should still be able to, you could definitely do the CTE wing, even if it is more expensive. I mean,
I think that's the one thing we all agree on, that we want to do CTE. and we
Yeah,
wanna do
that's-
it
that's
right.
top
Like,
priority.
We know that, so
Yeah, and we've also already approved the
the signs,
Signs.
yes.
I think
So-
those are my two top priorities with,
those alone put you over $3 million.
and probably more than
South
that
Terrace
if we
conversation.
expand, if we're expanding the CTE, it's gonna be more than that probably. Right?
Yeah, and that's just their initial estimate. If we expand it and move engineering like we talked about and put the extra building up to
I
relocate.
like that idea.
I do too. And like I said, the CTE wings, this budget is not a drop. It's not a drop in the bucket compared to what other school corporations in our area are
Right,
spending.
right.
And we're gonna be behind.
I think
Right.
one key point that we've talked about at one of the sessions too was that all the things we're talking about is enhancing the student experience and
Mhm.
making sure we can, keep bringing kids in and keeping our students, even the South Terrace conversation, that right now we've got classrooms on the stage and, we can't have a preschool there and, that kind of thing. So we're struggling to, fill the need.
I agree. I'm just not, I like what Mr. Cumby said, to think about your long-term plan, and are we just gonna slap something up where we think it fits to fit a need right now, and then down the road think, oh, we're gonna build something totally new, and I don't know that we're thinking about that.
We
The
need,
CTE we want that to be top notch. I feel like the South Terrace thing is something we need to think about, but I'm not sure we're ready to think about.
maybe in 5
Exactly what
years,
we
if you
want.
set a 90-cent tax rate.
Good luck.
let me
Nice
ask you, and this is just a dream. This is just a dream. I listened to the meeting the other day that I missed, was in the hospital with, and Mr. McDaniel or Dr. McDaniel or whoever asked if we'd ever done anything with Toyota. If we'd ever went to Toyota asking for support or anything and doing anything. Has anything like that ever been done?
They have.
Toyota gives a
it's
lot
done.
of money to Gibson County Schools.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of money.
And
And
they-
we're not that far out of there, and we got a lot of employees around here that work at Toyota. I just don't know. And we were talking about the manufacturing ring or whatever that is right there. That would fit right in Toyota's.
Yeah,
And
I
I'd be
don't know
glad to put a
what,
sign up back there that said, welding area donated by Toyota Motor Company or whatever.
I know they've done a lot of curriculum development, I would say, with Gibson, Pike, and
They have some of the
North
ESC as well, and
EVSC,
Yeah.
north, south, east Gibson, and Pike.
Yeah, I don't know which place it was that the CTE was the healthcare stuff with all the
Yes.
medical beds. And
Warwick.
Warwick.
do they get to be CNAs after they leave that or something?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Because it still seemed
Mm-hmm.
massive.
Yeah, and they weren't even done with that. They were gonna put up headboards or whatever with instrumentation.
And that looked bigger than ID Tech when I did that many years ago, you
Mhm.
know? And that's what they
Yeah,
did.
that's what,
And I don't know who or how we go about approaching them or doing anything like that, but I think it'd be something at least worth.
They have
Looking
a
into.
portal, a school portal, and we have an account in it, and they post any grants or, anything that they have. They usually lead that discussion, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't.
We're getting ready to do this and we'd really like to add another engineering wing here. That's what we were gonna call that area there, and we're wondering if maybe Toyota might be interested in helping sponsor that for us. We'd only need $4 million or something, and they say, well, they'll give us 2, and we'll say sold, I don't know, it's a dream.
And don't watch the board minutes
That's
from.
what I said, yeah.
Spend the
You're
time from
funny,
the
Larry.
session.
I think it would be good for them, it would be good with their employee, I just think it would be, and if they do it for Evansville, they do it for Pike County, they do, we're as close to Toyota probably as, well, maybe not Pike County, but we're pretty darn close there too.
Okay, so do we have to pick
Yeah.
our bond amount or do we have to pick our tax rate? Because I thought when we left here, that guy said we had to pick our tax rate and the rest would go from there.
Right.
Okay.
They would do the numbers to figure out how much we can borrow. But they kind of go hand in hand.
May I tell you something real quick? Last week I interviewed, Mr. Foote, Nate Foote. He's the general manager of BWXT.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, in Mount Vernon, they have the welding classes that BWXT pays for all their adjuncts. They have 6 now on staff. Well, one just passed away. And they gave a $25,000 donation to Mount Vernon schools in the name of in honor of the man who just passed away. But they paid all the expenses of all the teachers. They have a waiting list of students to attend. And they sponsored a lot of it, and they just gave them a $25,000 check to buy some more supplies. And when I interviewed him, I said, you know, this is something, you've got all these students now that will graduate and hopefully work right in, take more training and work right into WXT as welders. And he said, oh yeah, we will have a whole force. And I said, well, you're working with the southern schools. I said, I specifically asked him, I said, have you worked or contacted the schools in North Posey? Are you interested in expanding the program into North Posey? And he said, you know, that's a good idea. We'll look into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought I'd tell you that they're an incredible source.
Mm-hmm.
Just so, you know, I mentioned, I just wanted to mention.
Thank you.
Who was the name of the person you were talking about?
His name is Nathan, Nate, Foote.
I'd be more glad to go along and back somebody up if they wanted to talk to him.
He's the general manager of BWXT in Mount Vernon. And you know, they make all the big, they have all the government contracts and stuff for all that they make. They're quite an organization. Yeah, they just gave $25,000
And that's just in honor of the gentleman.
in honor
that's
of
right.
the adjunct teacher that had just passed away. He was the first guy that started the program, and it was kind of his brainchild. So they gave it to in honor of him.
Yeah, we don't have to pick 85 cents or 90 cents. We can pick 90.5 cents or something like that, right?
Yeah, we just have projections.
I think 85 cents is bringing us down awfully low. I didn't compare it with others. I think if we're going to lower it, we don't lower it a whole lot. Just the fact that we've lowered it, I think gives us,
I thought 90 put us in the middle, but
Or you can look at a certain amount and keeping your tax rate consistent. And then what that does is in 5 years, gives whoever is sitting here a whole lot of flexibility on whether they allow it to drop at that point. I mean, I like the idea of letting it drop a bit right now. But that's why I keep
how many
going back to
people
that
are
$7
gonna,
million or 90 cents.
you'll know, you know better than this, how many people are really gonna see that and say, hey, they gave us a break, the tax rate went down, or will we hear a lot of that, or?
Probably not, because they're not gonna notice it because the assessments keep going up.
And then when we decide, or whoever's here in 5 years or whatever decides that we gotta go up, we're gonna have to go up to $1.03 or something like that. They won't remember at all that back in,
But that's the job of these folks sitting here, is to remind them of those things.
I know.
To me, it's a lazy way of doing business to say, nobody's paying attention to this, so we ought to just keep it the same. Is it right? Probably so, but
That's not what I'm
it's-
saying. I'm saying we got enough money in good projects that we should maintain that tax
But you're
rate.
tying the hands of your next superintendent quite a bit by doing that.
I
feel
don't
like.
think we
Or
are.
you're gonna raise the tax rate in 5 years.
I don't know how that ties their hands at all. By maintaining that tax rate right now, we still have the opportunity, depending on how much we borrow, to set in 3 years, we want to have another bond. In 5 years, we want to have another
It's a
bond.
whole lot easier to do that looking at a smaller number though, with this big white area here than it is with that.
No, that is the next bond.
It is, but if you allow it to drop a bit now, you know that it's not gonna have that same effect.
We're gonna have less money at both times,
Unless we bump up the tax rate.
unless you bump the tax rate back up to where we're
Which
at
is
right
my
now.
argument in that I think that that's our job, is to sell that with good projects the next time around.
I think we sell it right now.
I don't
And
think
it's
we have enough good
harder.
Projects.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I think the CTE thing is, I think it's a great
I
project.
do on that one as
Now,
well.
I don't know about the South Terrace thing. I can see it, but I don't know that
That's one
We
I
are-
think needs a little more time to study.
A little more discussion.
and I don't know what, community and people like that will look at it, but I think the CTE thing is, and I worry about doing it, not doing it right. You know, I would rather go in and just do the welding area and do it right and leave the other stuff, don't touch them, but we need to do all of those because we're so far behind, I think, in all of it.
But we are losing students today
Right.
to St. Wendell from South Terrace. That's my justification for that project. I think it's absolutely necessary.
I think it is too. But I don't think it's,
CTE wing and South Terrace, what are those,
In the science renovation,
what do those add up to?
$6 million.
So with the 7, you can still do everything you want to do.
and have that extra money if we need to, if we're gonna.
If that CTE wing runs over.
But see, a part of that
Do no
7,
solar and we have no,
is that including paying the companies what we need to owe them and
That's the
everything like that with that?
10%.
Okay.
But you take the next
Continue
5
to see your
years
direct
to
costs.
study that, and I understand some of these rebates could roll off. Probably won't. So you do take a bit of a risk there.
I talked to a guy that said he thinks that if anything, he doesn't think they go down. If they do anything, he thinks they might go up, especially for schools and government buildings and different things like that.
And I think we don't lose people to South Terrace, or to St. Wendell long-term for that reason. I think it's their after-school program that starts even after pre-K is over, that is very helpful to working parents, and we don't have all of that set up.
What do you mean?
No, like when preschool is 8 to 11, that sort of thing, and they can stay there till 6 p.m.
Oh.
at St. Wendell. And they have
Like
early
daycare,
drop-off.
but-
You
Oh,
can
I
get
get
there by 6:30 in the morning. Like they have,
We have
We have
Wi-Fi on
Wi-Fi.
both ends, but do you have to
the
use all
hours are
day?
just better for them, yes. And
It's 6 to 6 or 6:30 to 6:30, I forget.
I know it's early and late,
Ours is 6
Ours
to
is
6.
but if preschool has to be picked up at
Or a preschool
11.
full day.
That's here, but not in South Terrace, right?
lots of both.
Is it? I mean,
Is
we
it
don't
both?
have a preschool at South Terrace right now.
I mean, white hair.
Yeah, it's,
Is it both?
yeah, we're 6 to 6. And we had a little preschooler over here at North Elementary that was having almost that 6 to 6 day. And we kind of had a conversation because that was too much.
Only problem with that, we're babysitting, but but parents need that. They need that.
Yeah. Well, and that's
But
what
they're
our
paying
before
for
and
it.
after school care is. That's what it is.
Right, I know.
Yeah.
And they do pay for that, don't they?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't pay for that. Yeah. And they have some educational components to it too, which is really nice.
So are we looking at bond amount or tax rate, do you think?
Either one.
I like 90 cents.
I like the 77,
7
I like the
million.
70 million. I like
I
the
don't like that at all.
$7.13 million bond. And I don't know what that tax rate would be.
So that, then if we talk about that, then I think we need to talk about tax rate, because my opinion is if we do that 7 million, we still maintain the tax rate, and we come up with our next bond at a earlier date, or more money in that next bond, and we're still maintaining the tax rate.
You're talking about
I
like
would love
page
to
9.
see if you dropped to 95 cents and 7 million, how much that changes that. Probably not much.
Probably not much at all.
And it's kind of a pretty good compromise, I feel like, where you're still letting that rate drop a little bit, but you're still giving that huge flexibility in 5 years. Do you
I'd
think?
go with that.
I do like it. I don't like it. I don't know. I'm here. My concern is I want to do as much as we can to make, but I do like the idea of lowering it a little bit, even if it's just a penny or 2 pennies. or
We could
something
do
like
some
that.
quick.
It would be a couple pennies on the tax rate is all.
At, didn't we have there's 90? I thought we had one that showed the, oh, that's 85 cents.
Yeah.
There's a
With
90.
85 to 90. Is
There's
there
a 90, yeah.
There it is.
Sorry, I keep stealing us back, Larry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I would be
It probably
okay with,
wouldn't make much difference.
it doesn't, because you're looking
Is
at
that mine?
90 cents.
Okay, I didn't think so. How come everybody else
She's
has
stealing
one
your
I don't?
paper. I have it
They
from
just
last
brought
meeting. I
theirs
brought
Oh,
from
it.
I didn't
meeting.
bring mine from last meeting. Okay.
You didn't bring your papers,
I
Larry.
started to do that, and then I thought,
$300,000.
no, I'm gonna walk with a cane, and I don't want to carry 15 different things.
That doesn't change a whole lot then as
No.
far as.
I could support 95 cents.
I could support 95 cents too.
That would still, right now, give us the potential, even if CTE gets expanded, of up to 9.7 million that we could borrow right now.
And we don't have to use it all.
No,
And if we don't use it, it's just kind of sitting there and,
well, we can, by the end of the project, we either have to use it or they don't sell the bond
okay.
and we, the tax rate comes down at that point.
It's November of next year before we'd actually buy the bond, wouldn't it, or sell the
I
bond?
think so.
So, yeah, we're just setting an amount now. We're not buying it till way later in the year.
To me, that speaks very highly of this board that you would consider allowing that to drop a couple pennies, so.
And then if we don't use it, we're dropping taxes.
We
even.
would drop it however much it is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm for that 100%.
Mhm.
Somebody make a motion.
All right.
You want
Then
a
summarize
tax
that
rate
with your
motion? Or do you
I-
want a bond? Probably a tax rate and
Yes.
allow them to.
Yes. And then he'll allow us to set that rate based on, 'cause this
Motion
is,
should include lowering the
somewhat
tax
lower.
rate to,
I think, right?
I believe that's what he said.
I think that's what he said.
So
I think we could have a tax rate with a possible up to,
Up to
up to 95.
well, I mean, we're
No,
gonna
no,
set a
no.
tax rate of 95 cents, borrowing up
9.7.
to,
We shouldn't even have to
9.7.
include that though, should we?
I-
If we set that rate. I mean, based on
Well-
the numbers, it should be really close.
Well, but they can work that however they want.
I see what you're
Remember?
saying, yeah.
So I think we can set the criteria of 95 cents. So 95 cents, and we want to have this bond go out to 2030. Is that agreeable? And then he'll be able to figure out how much we could borrow up to based on that.
It would be
And
paid
then we-
off in 2030?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay.
They would set it so that they're borrowing this amount to maintain that rate, but leaving us room in 2030
To
to
borrow
have
more in
another.
2030, okay, yes, that's,
And I think that's the best
So we would
scenario.
still have
before
room to
this is
borrow
all
more
done, I
than
might
that.
understand a
And-
little bit of this.
And then as we go through these projects, I mean, we haven't spent any money when we do this, other than the financial cost of getting bonds developed. We won't approve the spending of money until we actually approve a project. And get bids back on it even.
Mhm.
And that'll be months down the road.
Yeah, I
And
think
at
that
that time,
the
we
way you
decide,
describe
hey,
it is a fair, is a
The
good way to-
CTE is costing us more than we thought, it's gonna be $4 million, we wanna do that, we're just gonna cut something else out as we go.
I mean, you're adding the junior high section plus another building, you know, it's gonna be much, I won't say much, but it's
Yeah.
gonna be higher.
When I saw Mr. Wallace, they talked about just putting a small building in there, we still have to maintain the driveway back to the cafeteria, right?
Correct. That, there's nothing, that has to go back to the cafeteria for all the food services,
And then
whatever.
the building they were gonna build is right onto the wood shop. Is that right or
That's,
not?
that was one discussion. The other,
That's what he had talked to me about.
that is one, but the other discussion is in the junior high practice area, blacktopping some of that for parking and having a pole barn style, I don't know.
Yeah.
However you say it, a building there that would house possibly a bathroom for softball and soccer, as well as the storage area and a possible office for Danny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, these are options and discussions.
It would
It's
have,
still up in the
it would
air.
have heat and water.
Correct.
And then.
To mine, and that's what they're,
and
that's
then-
one of the options you're gonna
And
put
then
in
the
there.
area over there in the junior high would be used for CTE.
That would be most likely the engineering.
Hardwired.
And then we have more room over at the high school on the other end
That-
for some of the other. things.
That area, you're doing three different areas instead of four.
Yeah.
Engineering would be pulled out.
Yeah, I like that, yes.
So it makes a lot of sense, but it would add cost, of course.
That wasn't, of course, there were times in the last couple of months that I don't even know where I was or what my name was for some time, so it's.
All right, I'm gonna attempt to do this
Okay.
based on your notes. Would like to make a motion that we set our total tax rate at 95 cents with the ability to issue bonds again in 2030.
I think that's good.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mrs. Bowers. Any other discussion? I think we've had enough.
I think we should say lower our tax rate to
I like that. Let's
95
to
cents
lower our
with the-
tax rate.
All right. So having heard all the discussion, all those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries.
Nice.
It's been a long time, but I feel good about it.
So-
I think that's right.
Ask Jennifer when the design's gonna be done tomorrow.
I'll call her tomorrow, is it ready?
I can say that as an engineer, so.
I know the answer, but.
Yeah. All right. Next one, Mr. Kavanaugh.
For the lawn care, I would like to accept a proposal bid from A Cut Above Landscape Solutions. The alternate that we did last year was alternate 3. It's $6,500. Was 5 treatments. Was lawn treatment, spraying fences 3 times, as well as seeding. If we want to do the same thing we've had in the past, that would be alternate 3.
Are you all satisfied that that alternate was worth doing again then?
any problem.
I think everything looks good.
You're
They
proposing-
do a nice job.
You're proposing using a cut above landscape and then going.
With alternate three.
Yes. I thought that, what I'd say, I didn't notice any places where it wasn't done and stuff like that. I know sometimes when we hire somebody individually to come in and do the mowing as like an extra job, sometimes it would start to get away from them and stuff. But
We
I
haven't
didn't-
had to have Sean Fisher and Waylon Shank out weed eating under the bleachers since we've done this.
I haven't seen that kind of thing going on right now, I think.
I like doing at least a 2-year agreement, gets some time in between. having
Now,
meetings, so.
Yeah.
Is this next year, the first year of 2 years then? I
Yes.
remember approving it. It seemed like it wasn't that long ago, but
Is this each time they mow? Isn't that what that is?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, that's all three complexes.
Right, and then,
Can we just add my yard to that? I wanna have to pay
Bring it out
for
to
that.
That might be a conflict.
Add into the compensation.
Jody said he would pay for it. didn't
He
Yeah,
did, I heard him say
He did say something.
For Larry's yard. All right, so looking for a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the bid by Cut Above Landscape, including their 5 treatments
Of alternate 3.
of alternate 3, okay.
And a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Colley, seconded by Mrs. Bowers to approve. Any other discussion?
Do you need to specify that you want a 2-year agreement?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
You got
And
a bid
let's, okay,
and a second.
and let's make it a 2-year agreement.
All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Colley to agree to a 2-year contract with a Cut Above Landscaping with alternate 3. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries 4-0.
All right, next, we have, we're recommended to the board to accept the bid from Educational Furniture for the amount of $213,136.26 for elementary schools classroom furniture replacement project.
All right, looking for a motion to, you said
Educational furniture, yes, the
Okay.
first.
Looking for a motion to approve the bid from Educational Furniture.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid from Educational Furniture.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mrs. Bowers. Any discussion?
This is going to take care of grades
K through 2.
K through 2 at
Yes.
both schools.
Correct. There's, with that discussion, there's a concern possibly of needing a few more chairs. When I was speaking to Mrs. Kester, but, with, but yes, I mean, that would be
And,
with any of
and
these.
it also covers new teachers' chairs and desks or not.
I believe that was part of the bid, yes.
That's why, I tried to look at the bid, the pictures and everything like that, and again, they didn't have those back when I was in high school and stuff like that, so. But I'm impressed that we did have this many bids on it. And then,
We did send out, to any vendor we had ever
you-
heard from,
now,
or that stopped in.
educational furniture, is that who we have used, or
We
is this a
have
new
not.
company?
This is and I know, Mr. Fisher saw the furniture that they had as so it seems substantial. My concern was, it was substantially cheaper. Now, is it good furniture? There is lifetime warranty on the chairs. So from all we could gather and from what we've seen from the furniture, it is
Good,
quality stuff.
Good.
You can send the English chairs back when they break. You don't have to go in and tighten them up anymore.
All right. All those in favor of the motion to approve educational furniture, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries forward.
With that, I'd also like to recommend for the high school, the bid from Educational Furniture also at the cost of $23,909.31, with no alternates.
And that's for the,
It's
The
the
principles of teaching,
educational. furniture.
Carrie's program, okay,
Mhm.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
and that is funded by grant money.
The principles of teaching, didn't we use a different term for that? That doesn't sound like.
It's the class right now, the first one is principles of teaching. It's the educational, professionals pathway.
Okay,
This should take care of both classrooms, is my understanding.
right. Good. I make a motion, we accept the bid from Educational Furniture and what did you say?
No, there's no alternates
No alternates.
added to it.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Colley, seconded by Mrs. Bowers, to approve the bid from Educational Furniture with no alternates. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Do we have a delivery date on these things?
It was part of the
It
quote,
was
but
part
I
of the
don't
quote,
remember what
Okay,
that is.
that's all right.
I want to say it was spring break, but I could be wrong.
I just wanted to, if it was just open air, open up a bit.
It was defined in the
Okay,
RFP.
Good, good.
We have, the bylaws and administration sections of the Neola policies, for second read. And then if they're ready for, if you approve second read, then, we will bring them for approval actually in January. So if there's any changes, actually, there's no vote needed right now. It's just if there's any changes you want made to them or any discussions.
Can you send that out in an email to all of us?
The bylaws and administration.
Yeah, just to not
Take a
where
look
they're
at
at. Yes.
Mhm.
It's all free about it.
Mhm.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, I'd like to make a recommendation, a proposal to pay a stipend to the following employee groups corresponding with the teacher appreciation grant or TAG. The administrators, classified employees, school counselors, e-learning coaches, psychologists, speech therapists, food services, and bus drivers. And it's listed in front of you on the,
On the next page.
yes.
So looking for a motion to approve the stipends.
I'll make a motion to approve the stipends.
I'll second it.
A motion by Mrs. Bowers, seconded by Mr. Colley to approve the stipends. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries forward.
On the professional leave request, Brad Wallace will be going to OSHA 510 certification. Mrs. Walden will be going to a school finance seminar. Mr. McMahon to Indiana STEM Educational Conference. Ms. Schaefer to IMEA Professional Development Conference. Mr. Weiniger to ISTA Emerging Leaders Cohort 2, Indianapolis. And Ms. Smarenholtz to the textbook open house in Huntingburg.
Looking for a motion to approve professional leave.
I'll make a motion to approve professional leave requests.
I'll second
A motion by Mr. Oakley, seconded by Mr. Colley. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
it. Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
What textbooks are up for this year?
It's,
Art,
elective, so art, music,
Elective,
it's miscellaneous,
Health,
everything left.
not health.
Health is,
the science,
Health is with science. So this is art,
driver's
music,
ed was.
CTE,
Driver's
driver's
used to
ed,
be an
yeah.
elective, yeah.
Yeah.
But they still have driver's ed.
Yeah. We'll have some more going to that. They just, Melissa got hers in.
Mhm.
Everybody got the good news report? It's Joanne Bogard, our administrative assistant for special education. Is doing a great
I
job.
saw it online, but did we get a?
No,
It
but you
was
can
in
have
the
this
board
one. I
packet.
printed this one for you, Larry.
Okay. I don't know how to print anything like that on my printer.
No, I printed
Yeah,
one just
we
in
have to
case
buy-
someone
We have
wanted
to
it.
buy so much ink to get that printed.
All right. So any other items for the good of the cause? We have a scheduling thing for everybody before we head out. So hearing none, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Colley, second by Ms. Powers, we are adjourned.